Hey, cool cats and kittens. I've had a few requests from students about my approach to snare tuning, so I thought I'd do just a quick video on how sort of my approach, in case it's useful to anybody. I'm doing it on this kind of old snare drum. I think it's kind of old. I bought it from Graham Russell Drums. I believe my words when I went in there were, have you got any old drums that aren't really selling? That are a bit quirky, and I came up with this one, which is a GAM snare. I don't really know much about it. I think it was designed and built by a guy called Roberto Spizzichio, I can't remember, but he was known as the master builder, and he was more known for hammering cymbals, I think. If there's anybody out there who knows more about this, maybe you can chuck some links under wherever this is on social media. But it's an oldish snare. It's made purely of copper. But I think Graham Russell, they'd sort of done a bit of a refurb on it. So yeah, it's in good as nick as it possibly can be. So what I'm going to do, I mean, I've already loosened the bottom to kind of start the process off. I always use two drum keys. That I tend to use two that are identical, so they kind of feel the same, so I can kind of tell what's going on with the bolts and the tension, and like if there's a difference in drum key, then that can kind of affect your ability to tell all the tension sometimes. And the twisty bits on the top I find really useful as well. So I've loosened this off, and I find it useful to sit on the floor when I do this, because what I like to do is put it on my lap, and as I'm twisting the bolts around, be able to just turn the drum round on my lap. Kind of really helps. And I'm just making sure, and as I turn the drum, I sort of use that leverage as well to kind of get a nice bit of tension on there. You can go around, just keep going around, and it's when you kind of get to a point where you can't really do the bolts up anymore, and you can kind of get a feel for, like, if there's one that's stuck or something like that, you can't obviously need to avoid that, because then you won't have even tension, but you kind of want them all to be. And on this bottom head, I tend to see, you tend to get crinkles and stuff sometimes, and he's a bit dipped in. Yeah, I think the rim's a bit hammered in on the snare kind of pockets. Now you see on a lot of drums. Okay, so now I've got to there. What I'm going to do is I tend to try and pick a lug, put it as close to myself as possible, and that's like home base. Okay, so I always want to return to home base. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do about a third of a turn there. I'm going to go to my opposites. Do a third of a turn there, almost opposite that, but obviously you can't go back to the one that I've done, so I'm going to do the one next to it, do that one there, and then where I'm going to go from here, I'm going to go to there, and I'm going to go to here. Okay, so I'm just trying to do, once you kind of get that process down, because you've got the two drum keys, you're going to try and do the same pattern every time, so you're not missing any lugs. And as I'm going around, I'm sort of feeling, yeah, this one's loosened up a little bit. So I think this drum isn't a perfect one to do it, because the lugs are a bit old. It's much easier when you've got a new drum. Forgetting what I'm doing already. Kind of feels going up. Oh, I feel like I'm rushing now. I'm under the pressure of the video. I'm going to go to there and there. You can kind of hear the pitch going up, which is good. Get a feel for what's going on with the drum. This drum is like really loud, really sensitive drum, but it sounds great. So got a specific recording in mind. Oh, I've lost my place. Okay. Probably shouting at the screen, going, "No, you did it the different direction." Quite a bit of difference here, so I'm going to do some fine tuning. Go opposites. So I sort of pick a home lug. So this is going to be my home lug. Put my fingers slightly damp in the middle. So those two are pretty much the same. That's a bit lower. So I'm just going to go with both of those up a little bit. And what I tend to do is I don't go, oh, I'm going to make those the same pitch as home bass straight away, like crank it all the way around. So what I'm going to do is I literally went, okay, I'm going to do a third of a turn, and then I'm going to go around to the other lugs, because I kind of want, if that's still not high enough in pitch, I want to find out if there's any other low ones and bring the whole drum up at the same time as much as I can. And at this point, I should be pretty much there. But that one, just need to go up a bit. Okay, so it's quite pretty high. I'm gonna throw the snare wires back on at this point. I'm gonna get my plastic, make sure my plastic bends in the same way as it was a minute ago. So the one that's got the big bend in it, that's probably the throw off. So I'm gonna chuck that through there. I feel like I'm being quick because I don't want this video to be horrendously long, but also it to be a huge file that I then can't send via social media or WhatsApp. So, it's going to be. I don't think I've ever put these snare wires back on here before, so it's actually not the best one to get your fingers in because it's really close to the drum. It's closer to the drum than the rim is. So actually, I can't. I wonder if that's upside down as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to loosely do that one up, just to hold it in place. I'm probably going to have to adjust these in a minute. I bought this drum at the end of summer last year, and then every gig I had it on, everyone was like, what's that snare? People really noticed it just because it's got such a bright sound to it. People really noticed. Okay, so what I want to do is make sure that when the throw off is on, maybe if I put the throw off around here, so you can see it. Okay, so I want to undo it so it's like not right at the bottom, so that when you undo it, the nut's going to come undone, but maybe like 2/3 towards the bottom, or sometimes I put it right in the middle, so I've got some headroom to do it up, but if I loosen it, it's not all going to fall apart. Okay? So, now what I'm going to do is work out how this is going to go in the middle. So I'm only throwing this drum around to try and speed up the process. Right, I'm going to pull that so it's tight-ish. Helps if I actually undo it. Right, now what I'm going to do is I've got that pretty much where I want it. But I want it to be further this way, so I'm going to pull this down. I'm now going to undo this, pull it back across, making sure it's not stretching, and I'm going to pull it taut, and I'm going to do it up properly. So that snare wise is right in the middle of the drum. But the throw off is completely like at what should be loose. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen these slightly, very slightly, so it's not, I'm going to keep the screwdriver there, and I'm going to bring the throw off up. So this is now slipping through the throw off. Okay, and just as I get to the top, I'm now going to tighten it up. So now, if I do it up a little bit, good tension. Okay. I hope that makes sense. Okay. Oh, sounds quite good already. I almost don't want to tune the batter head, but I'm going to do it for you guys. But this is a really good way of, like, I want to sort of get back to this starting point. So notice the relationship between, got much higher here, much lower there. Okay, so I'm going to throw the snare wires off. Yep. And now I'm going to, you can either do opposites, so I'm doing opposites here, but I'm doing opposites there as well. Kind of good practice to get into. And I'm sort of not being quite so careful and even here because it's obviously just getting looser. But I do sort of want to do it roughly evenly. I don't want to be just like undoing completely one lug, so that it kind of shifts over to one side, because I want to try and make sure I look after the head, because it's going to stay on here. Okay, so shapely there, they are all loose. Okay, cool. So nice and loose. So now what I'm going to do, move the camera. Okay, now finger tighten, so like just gently loose the first time around. Sometimes I give the head a bit of a shake just to make sure it's in the middle. It's always good to, once you've slackened off, just to have a look. Is there any, if there's like a massive dip, then maybe you need a new head. But this is looking pretty good, this head. And it's nice that it's still got the Grand Russell logo on there. It's good to have a cup of tea when you do I wonder if anyone who's not a drummer has made it this far into a drum tuning video. I doubt it somehow. Okay, so got it as tight as I possibly can with my fingers all the way around. Looking good. Okay, so again, I'm going to start. Some things that often happen, like other little tips, are whoever put this head on has got the habit of putting the logo with the logo of the head, so that if you want the logo of your drums to be facing the audience, you always know where the logo is. I tend to put the logo where the throw off is, because when I'm setting up the drums, it's always useful to be able to put the drum on the stand with the throw off. I tend to put it like facing me so that I can get to it with either hand. But you know, that's easy enough. So that's as tall as it can possibly be. So I've now got the throw off towards me. I tend to tune this way as well, with the throw off towards me, so that if I have a problem with any of the lugs, when I'm playing the drum, I know which lug that was. Right then, let's do it. So let's start there. I'm scared of doing it wrong because I'm on a video. Sometimes it's good. Maybe it's good to count them sometimes. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I always know I'm not going to miss one. Sometimes I'm always nervous, like, when I retune this, is it going to sound as good as it did before I tuned it, is always the thing. Sounds good so far. Sometimes I give it a little push just to make sure that it's sitting right on the head. If it's a new head, you can stand on it if you want to, you know, make sure it's seated. So it's a little bit higher than it was before. sounds, without any fine tuning, sounds really good already. But let's have a go at some fine tuning. Because it's such a sensitive drum, it tends to want to be fine tuned to make sure that there's the pitches kind of all as matched as I possibly can get them. Much higher. So what I'm getting is there's a few that are lower, but there are more that are higher. And I tend to always want to take the drum head up is the general rule. It's better to tune up than it is to tune down because of the way that the head like sits on the rim. If you tune down, it's always good to go like down and then up a tiny bit, so then you kind of get the kind of the tension with the rim and the head against the bearing edge of the drum. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make this one my sort of home base, and the one I'm going to tune up to this pitch. So it's much lower, so I'm just going to take that one up. That's also lower, as predicted, because it's opposite. I want kind of these two to be the same because they're kind of opposite. It's higher. So I'm just going to ignore that one for the moment. So that one's lower. But it's actually different from that one. Still lower. I'll take that one up a bit more. Taking that one too far. So I'm going to go down and then up a tiny bit. I've done a bad thing. Still much lower, these two. So notice that I just immediately went to that one and did it up a little bit higher because I did that one because I sort of know already. I sort of know that they're pretty much the same pitch, so they're going to want to go up at the same time. There you go. Still a little bit lower than that one, so yeah. There, that one's lower now. Give it another push. Okay, so it's not perfect, but it's close enough. Sounds good there. So it's still lower than that one. Sounds great. Let's chuck it on the drum kits and have a quick go. Can I do this in the same video? Let's have a go. What if I put this on here like this? Take this one off there. I'm going to put some earplugs in because look after your hearing. This is a very loud drum. So it's probably going to be really ringing without some dampening. Yeah. A little bit loose. A little bit loose. Tighten it up a little bit. a little, just a little bit of dampening, little dot there. Lovely. There you go. Hope that helps.